everyone, it's great to see you. It really feels like spring today. It's not even mid-March, but here I am outside. I feel comfortably warm. The birds are singing. I need to plant something. Now, it is very difficult to find things to plant in Zone 6B quite this early, but I have managed to find some beauties. So I have here some gorgeous hellebores. Now, hellebores are perennials, so these will actually eventually go in the garden. And there's a really big variety now of hellebores that are out there. This one is called Ice and Roses Picotee, and it sort of has a bi-colored rosy color. And then I also have a darker type here. This one is just Ice and Roses Red. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. I used to think of all hellebores as really downward facing, and so you didn't really get to see them much, but they are breeding them more so that the flower faces look up better. And I'm going to be putting these in the urns, which gives them a little bit of height, so you'll even be able to see these flowers a bit better. And hellebores are really early spring bloomers. These are already hardened off, so they can just stay outside, even if we have some cool nights. Now, if it gets really below freezing, and I see that in the temperature, I might throw some frost cloth over these urns, but I'm pretty confident these are going to be okay. And I have my fingers crossed that winter is behind us and spring is here. So let me show you how I'm going to plant these up. So I loved the Christmas arrangement that I had in here. I was able just to plop into my pot here the arrangement, and I had some beautiful fake ornaments around it. Looked great through the entire winter, but I've removed that now. This dirt was used all last year. So come springtime, it really needs to be refreshed, but this is like early springtime, so this doesn't count. I am going to actually be taking my nursery pot out. I'm just going to reuse the soil that's here. The hellebores are going to be here for such a short time before they go in the garden. I'm not worried about fertilizer. I'm not worried that this soil is probably depleted of nutrients. We're going to put them in. We're going to enjoy them for a short time, because before you know it, I'll be taking them out, and then I do a complete rehaul of putting in all new soil, making sure we're going to be really all set for the growing season. So this is just to bring us some short-term joy here while we're waiting for the real growing weather. Now, this pot has been fabulous. I kept my mandevilla in here, plucked it out, put in my mums, plucked those out, put in my Christmas arrangement, and I will put this back. But for this purpose, I'm going to just lift it out, put it to the side, and this will fill in, and we'll just use the dirt that we have here. Let me grab our beautiful hellebores. Okay, so what I have here is I have one of the darker hellebores and two of our Picotee hellebores. And I want to sort of put these, I'm going to put the one that's different sort of in the center here, and then have these two up a little bit in front. Now, there will be space all around, and that is because I am waiting for pansies to fill in. Thank goodness that Russell's Nursery in Massachusetts had these in, because I am just going crazy waiting for nurseries to get something in that I can plant. And I was so thrilled when we went to visit there a couple days ago, and they had this wonderful shipment. And they assured me that these hellebores have been outside in Connecticut, getting nice and cold tolerant, so they could go right outside for me. And so I'm just going to carefully take these out. Oh, they're really, look at that nice root system. And even though, you know, they're only in here for a short time, I'm still thrilled to see such a great base, because they will join the garden and come up in the garden next year when I replant them. And I'm just sort of moving the dirt to pack them in. Now with hellebores, you do sort of want to turn your plant around a bit so that the flowers are showing off the very best that they can. Because of course I want everybody to be able to enjoy these as much as I'm planning on it. Okay, the hellebores are going to give us this nice tall piece in the middle, and then once I find a nursery that has their pansies in, that will sort of give us an additional color all the way around the edge here. That's much shorter though in stature, and I tend to like something tall in the center and then something smaller ringing it in, especially in these urns, and this looks perfect. Okay, now I have to step back and see if I like it. Just want to move this over just a little bit. Okay, now a couple things you're going to notice here. There's still quite a bit of plant that is not buried in soil. So I'm going to be adding some soil to actually pack them in, but I'm also keeping in mind that I need to add the pansies in here eventually too. So I'm not filling it quite up as much as going to be needed until those pansies come in. The truth is, I just can't help myself from planting today. So even though it's not going to be completely finished, I'm putting what I can in here. Let's do the other side and then I'll fill in some more dirt. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take out my nursery pot. That will be saved for when it is mandevilla time. I'm going to sort of fill this in. Now as I do this, I can really tell that the soil is really cold. This is when you realize that the garden is still not in springtime yet, but that is okay. I am willing it into springtime. And I have a very strong personality, so it's going to listen to me. Okay, let's see. Here we have our beautiful red hellebore, this deep maroon. Look at all those great roots. Oh my goodness. This is just so happy. I am feeling better already. And then we have our picotee. And a lot of the foliage just sort of, whoops, droops around here, and that is fine. It's just gonna look like we have some life up here. This was also probably the longest I left the winter look up in the yard, but it just lasted so well, it seemed a shame to take it down. Okay, but we are ready now. Go, one more. And I'm just sort of moving the dirt to the side and tucking it in. It's a little hard to get it perfectly centered the first time, which is why I always take a step back and sort of figure out how I need to adjust it. Let me see. So I didn't realize how short this one looked back here. I am going to switch it around so that my taller hellebore is a little bit further to the back, and then you can see this one, I think, a bit better. We'll pull out a little more dirt, or a lot more dirt if needed. Get this situated. There we go. Now, last year I had some trouble with this urn draining, but now I have landscape fabric over the bottom, and we don't seem to be having any of that trouble, which is fabulous. Okay, let me see if that looks a little better. So my plans changed a little bit with these. Originally, I wanted the darker maroon in the center, and then two of the picotees up here, but this one is so much shorter, I really want to be able to see it. So they're not going to match perfectly, but I think that, you know, they're all in the same family of color here, and it's just so much more important for me that I can share how beautiful the blossoms are, that I think that this will be okay. I tend to change things as I go along planting like that, so it's not a super surprise. Actually, can we go back and do both sides, like have a bigger frame?
Okay, sure. I hate to do this. Can you stand in the center for focus? A little loose. Perfect. Okay, you're clear. Go ahead and enter when you're ready.
I had a few bags Okay, like 6, more than a few. Bags of potting soil left in the fall. My plan had been to move them into our shed. Ideally, and I don't know if this is an old wives' tale or not, I don't like to leave them out over the winter because the potting soil is going to get really moist and then dry off and really moist and dry off. And my Miracle-Gro potting soil has the Miracle-Gro in it. And so in my mind, I'm thinking that sort of activates the Miracle-Gro, and then I won't have really fresh Miracle-Gro that's available to work when I need it in the spring. So I prefer to keep it dry so that doesn't happen. However, you know, the best of intentions, I might have lost a few bags of potting soil. And once again, right now, I'm not really worried about putting a ton of fertilizer in because it's such a short growing time that I'll have them here. So this is a great time to use up any of that potting soil that I have, potting mix over there. Okay, a little bit more up here. Oh, I am a messy gardener. Let me take a look and see if I like it. I am so excited about these urns. It feels so good to actually be outside planting flowers. And these, to me, they just have sort of that antiqued look, I think partially from the color and partially because they're these big, beautiful flower blossoms that, I don't know, I could just picture them in my grandmother's garden, and it just makes me feel all warm and spring-like. So if you're lucky like me and you see a nursery that has some beautiful hellabors outside, you might choose to add them to a planter. It can be a small planter just to look outside the window and see that, yes, spring is coming. And I will get back to you as soon as I can find some pansies here, and we will finish these up in another video. I can't wait to see how they're going to look. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.